We're here in Ireland for the penultimate leg of the 2019 series. Fighting for the top of the podium are 30 riders representing 7 nations. But the clock is ticking, time is running out. This is Eventing Reinvented. This is the Event Rider Masters.
Renowned for its rich equestrian history, the Event Rider Masters Series comes to Ireland for the very first time, and it is the perfect setting for Leg 5 of 2019. The Glenglees Arena here in Millstreet is located just an hour or so west of Cork in the south of the country. What a venue it is for this pivotal moment as the series race really reaches fever pitch. 4 of the world's top 5 ranked riders, 8 former leg winners, and all 3 previous series champions make the lineup, and we cannot wait to bring you all of the jumping action here in Millstreet today. It is a big moment for the 2019 series, and the podium here in Millstreet will be decided this afternoon. So we hope you'll stay with us for all of the jumping phases today. The show jumping taking place this morning starts in around 20 minutes time, and then this afternoon, thrills and the spills of Mike Etherington Smith's cross-country track. Delighted to be joined in the studio for our show jumping phase by Chinese Olympian Alex Huatian. Delighted to have you with you, Alex. It's going to be a good day of show jumping today.
Oh, thank you, Nicole. Very happy to be here, and what a beautiful place Millstreet is. It's my first time here and enjoying it.
It's incredible facilities, aren't they?
Unbelievable, because we've had a lot of rain in the British Isles, and if we didn't have all of these beautiful surfaces here, I don't know how we would have coped this week.
The organisers really have done an absolutely brilliant job, and we will be looking forward to seeing that show jumping taking place in the main arena very shortly. But you'll have Alex and myself here in the studio, and down on the ground getting all of the immediate reaction from our riders is Hannah.
Yes, good morning, Nicole. I'm here in the show jumping arena, and very shortly these stands will be filled by spectators coming down, hopefully avoiding the rain, to watch all of the action here in the show jumping. Just one pole separates Oliver Townend, who has run away with it in the dressage. Can the others catch him up? Will he keep all the poles up? It's all going to happen here this morning.
Well, we'll take a look back at all of the action from the dressage a little bit later on. But of course, we are leg 5 in the series. The series has been to Chatsworth in Derbyshire in England. We've been to Wiesbaden in Germany, Arville in Belgium, and Jardy in France. Let's remind ourselves.
2019, the 4th year of the Event Rider Masters Series, looks set to push the boundaries of equestrian sport even further. Tipped for the top ahead of the first leg were series favourites Chris Burton and Laura Collett. Also returning was the now FEI world #1 Tim Price with the world-renowned Wesco. With exceptional horsepower in his string and the world #1 ranking, he was a man on form. Riders also expected to make a serious assault were fan favourites Bill Levitt and Sarah Cohen, both pushing for the podium with renewed vigour. With the best 5 results counting towards the season championship, the competition and the road to Lignières-en-Berry was wide open. Leg 1, Chatsworth. Drama from the off saw Chris Burton withdraw after the show jumping. This, along with the absence of Tim Price, opened up the field for the likes of Laura Collett and Tom McEwen, with Collett ultimately taking the win and prized series points. Leg 2, Wiesbaden. The series saw a new field coming forward to stake their claim on the title, with double Olympic champion Michael Jung and defending leg champion Ingrid Klimke closing out the competition in 1st and 3rd place respectively, with Chris Burton setting his series score in 2nd place. Leg 3, Arville. Current contender Bill Levitt continued his clandestine assault on the series, tactically picking up the points. A dramatic safety device activation saw Chris Burton take 11 penalty points in the cross-country, securing a series lead but preventing him from defending his Arville title and catapulting the prices to a 1-2 at the top of the podium. The gloves were very much off. Leg 4, Jardy. Further drama from Chris Burton, who withdrew before the dressage, opening the door yet again to give Janelle Price the series lead following a 6th place finish. Bill Levitt and Shannondale Titan picked up their 3rd top 10 finish in a row to gain a series boost up into 2nd place. But it was the young up-and-coming French superstar Gireg Lecoz who topped the podium with Aspery de la Loge, jumping him into 4th place in the series standings. As we approach Millstreet in the penultimate leg of 2019, top contenders, fan favourites and the rising stars all jostle for the series top spot. With only 2 opportunities remaining, fortune will certainly favour the brave on the road to Lignières-en-Berry.
Well, let's take a look at that leaderboard. This is how things stand after 4 legs in the series. Janelle Price, who misses the leg here in Millstreet, which opens the door for Bill Levitt, the highest placed rider, coming forward on 60 points. Chris Burton hot on his heels, the defending 2018 series champion, and Gireg Lecoz, those brilliant results in Arville and Jardy giving him a real surge onto series podium territory. Look out here this weekend for Sarah Cohen, Tim Price and Tom McEwen to all make big points leaps and could actually really put in a challenge again for that series podium. Watch out for them. Now, Janelle obviously misses the leg here in Millstreet. Alex, Bill Levitt, Chris Burton seem to be the 2 that are really going to be fighting it out for the top spot. Who would your money be on?
Well, I think obviously Chris is extremely fast, supreme across the country.
Very fast cross country.
Billy is quick as well, but I think what Chris will like is a super tough cross-country, tight lines, and a challenge on the time. And that will give him, I think, the edge.
And it is going to be really interesting because we've only got the two between them, the 6 points. It is very, very little here on the leaderboard, and it is going to set us up for such an exciting finish in leg 6 in Lignières. I have to admit, it is wide open, and Sarah Cohen, who's in 3rd after dressage, we'll come on to that a little bit later on. She could really put in a series challenge here. So there's lots coming up for you throughout the day, the jumping this morning and the cross country this afternoon. But one of the ways that you can get involved in the Event Rider Masters series between legs is by joining the Event Rider Masters Platinum Club. Go to eventridermasters.tv for more information. There's lots of behind the scenes access, exclusive content you can get your hands on as well. And I think rumour has it there is a very exciting yard tour coming up at Chris Burton's brand new facility a little bit later on this year. So don't miss out, eventridermasters.tv for more information. Well, there's so many ways you can get involved here in the Event Rider Masters, and we hope that you'll be playing stacks and building those throughout the weekend. Let's go to Echo Ratings Corner and to Derm for more information. I have to admit, my stack made a grand total of 4 yesterday, so I think I need to work on that today. But there's lots of ways you can get involved here this weekend, and one of those ways is by voting for your favourite groom. Use the hashtag #EquiStroGroom. Our brand new partnership with Equistro is going to reward the real unsung heroes of our sport. Let's find out more with Hannah.
What about the option? As you say, it really is exciting times, and I'm joined by Event Rider Masters CEO Jim O'Toole. Jim, tell us a little bit about this new partnership.
Well, it's really exciting to welcome Equistro to the ERM commercial family. It's really refreshing as a business to have a company research us and come to us with a concrete proposal as to how they want to engage with us. And in this case, they've identified the unsung heroes of eventing and of ERM, the Grooms, as the people that they want to focus on. So this weekend we'll launch the Equistro Groom promotion, which will reward the best groom at this event. In fact, the top 3 grooms at this event. They will have their own podium after the show jumping phase, and that will lead into a Groom of the Year award after Linear. So we're really excited to have them on board. It's great to have the key group within our eventing community rewarded and engaged with by a sponsor. So we're delighted to have them on board.
Fantastic, Jim. It really is exciting times. Of course, it's not all about the riders. The grooms play such an important part, Nicole.
They really do. And don't forget, you can vote using the hashtag EquiStroGroom on social media. So vote for your favourite. I think there's a few social media campaigns by some of our riders already. Don't miss out. But we are one phase done here in Millstreet. The dressage all took place yesterday. Let's remind ourselves of how the action unfolded.
The Event Rider Masters heads to Ireland for the very first time. Millstreet International Horse Trials hosts the elite field of 30 combinations, chasing precious series points at the penultimate leg of 2019.
This time I've brought out old trusty Graf Liberty's here, and there's been some rain cross country, but my guy's pretty good in the mud. We'll have a crack and see what comes.
For me, it's all about series points. He's not slow, but he's not as fast as some. So for me to hold a decent position, I absolutely have to try and make the best of dressage and show jumping.
With current series leader Janelle Price not in attendance, the door is open for the chasing pack to make gains in the 2019 title race. Price's closest rivals, Chris Burton and Bill Levitt, found themselves well off the pace after the opening dressage in 17th and 18th positions respectively. British rider Sarah Cohen kicked off leg 5 with an excellent dressage performance on Treason, scoring 26.4 for 3rd overnight.
These 8s are really pouring in now for Sarah Cohen, so this is definitely coming into leadership territory.
Sarah Ennis and Horseware Stellar Rebound turned on the Irish charm in front of the home crowd, earning 25 from the judges to end the phase in 2nd.
A lovely canter, lovely balance, and the frame is lovely, very nicely uphill. So here, the ingredients for a nice change are all there. Yeah, very on the age and expressive.
But the standout test of the day went to Oliver Townend and Ballymore Class. The 2016 series winner marked his return from injury with a score of 21 to give the duo a full show jumping poles lead going into day 2.
Oliver Townend and Ballymore Class have absolutely laid down their challenge in this first phase. They come to their final halt. He salutes to our ground jury. That is an incredible test. Well, let's take a look at that leaderboard after the first of the phases. Oliver Townend out in front, a class apart with Ballymore Class. Sarah Ennis for the home nation in hot on his heels, though, in 2nd. And Sarah Cohen, Treason Ap Wiesbaden 2017 winners, ones that really need to leave those poles up in the show jumping. Lucy Jackson Superstition on the podium a little bit earlier on this year at Chatsworth, and Equa Ratings will be rooting for Sam Watson Imperial Sky. Gemma Tattersall was really disappointed with her mark with Quick Look the 5th, 28.5 after a couple of expensive mistakes. And Bubby Upton Cannavaro dot on 30.0 for them, sees them inside the top 15. But look at that, Chris Burton just ahead of Bill Levitt in the leaderboard after the first of the phases, which is a huge moment in terms of series points. And then a little bit further on down the leaderboard, don't discount Cathal Daniels and Elizabeth Power, both of whom could really put in a huge climb in the jumping phases. So that is how the leaderboard looks after the first of the phases. Of course, the jumping will no doubt shake that up as we head into the afternoon. But Alex, just a word, Oliver Townend, Ballymore Class, that test was absolutely stunning, wasn't it?
It was special. It was one of the few tests that I watch live and in person, and and I thought he just had him in a much stronger and more engaged frame than he's had him before. I mean, it's a beautiful horse, and always done a beautiful test, but I think Ollie's really taken some risks in his training recently and pushed this horse to a new level. Obviously made that one little mistake in the one change, which was marginal. The rest was stunning.
Stunning. Well, an equal 4th best Event Rider Masters dressage score in ERM history as well, so goes into the record tests. Sarah Ennis, Horseware Stellar Rebound. The Irish would love a home winner in their home leg. Her test was pretty special. The horse hasn't been out in an arena since WEG last year.
That's right, and I you know, it's so special to have this horse back again competing at the top level, and you know, obviously did an extraordinary job as part of the team at WEG. They were stabled next to us in the same barn. Huge medium trot there, great marks. And I really hope that she gets out there and does well this weekend.
Well, I've no doubt she will be really pushing for it, particularly in the cross-country. Look out for Horseware Stellar Rebound. Rocket by name, rocket by nature. Well, Equa Ratings give us all the numbers in the Event Rider Master Series. We're really lucky to have that extra special insight. We always love it when they get it a little bit wrong and give them plenty of grief, but when they get it right, we need to give them credit too. And yesterday, they absolutely got it right. Let's go to Durham and Equa Ratings Corner.
Up 12% for a podium finish. Don't forget she had that at Chatsworth. Of course, the ones Bill Levitt has dropped, Gemma Tattersall has dropped, Tim Price, and even Chris Burton. So lots of the favourites. Disappointing day yesterday. Win chances down, but Lucy Jackson, Sarah Ennis, even Millie Dumas, they're all rising in terms of their win chances. Oliver Townend still the out-and-out favourite.
Well, can he hold on? Because the show jumping is going to be a real test with Ballamore class a little bit later on this morning. We're creeping ever closer within sort of 6 or 7 minutes now from the first horse coming forward to the show jumping. And it is James Tarrant, who is the course designer of this incredible jumping track. Now, the word that I've heard is that it is fairly big and square out there. Alex is going to talk us through this show jumping track. Alex, your first impressions of it, and then we'll look into the flyover.
Well, as always for ERM, it's a big track. The time is likely to be savagely tight.
84 seconds it is at the moment.
Okay, and we'll get an idea from the first horse out there how tight that time is. And it's twisty enough, a treble, a double in there. There's a lot to do. The first fence you can approach off the left or the right rein, so it gives jockeys a decision on which one with a right-hand turn to a tall upright. 6 strides down to an oxer, and then your right-hand turn to a treble a little bit down the hill. Oxer's not too big going in, but a tall 130 upright in the middle. Right-hand turn back to this oxer, back up the hill towards the grandstand, and then a tricky left-hand turn to a one-strided double upright to oxer. This section of the course is now where the jockeys can take a little bit of a chance, tighter turns, from upright to upright, and a bit of a gallop down to this oxer across the arena. This oxer is tall enough, and you definitely have to be a little bit careful on the turn. But as we can see on this graphic, we have the option there, left-handed 6 strides to the plank, right hand to the oxer, but the oxer will take time. Final last 2 fences, not too tough. But, you know, I think the time will be tricky to get.
Time is going to be tricky to get. Well, 0.4 of a penalty for every second or part second thereof that goes over that time can really make all the difference on a very, very tightly bunched leaderboard. So that is the show jumping track that is in store for each of our combinations. Riders have been out there walking it this morning, making their final preparations, making sure that they know exactly what they've got to do in order to be clear and inside the time allowed. But let's go down and take a closer look on the ground with Hannah.
Thanks, Nicole. Well, everyone is here walking the course. They're all getting ready for the show jumping this morning. I've managed to grab Liz Halliday-Sharp, who is going to give us some expert inside info. It's a tight, twisty track, isn't it, Liz?
Well, it is a typical ERM track. You've got to get in, set the tone. It's very, very twisty. And the time was really tight yesterday in the normal 4-star, so I can only imagine what it's going to be like today.
We've got this fence behind us, fence 6, and that's where it all starts, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the track is tough all around, but I think this is a place where you can really save or lose a lot of time. You've got the double here at 6, and then you've got a decision. You've got to roll down to fence 7, just over here. And I think you want to be a little bit chancy and take a slight angle on 7 so that you can roll back, and then a quick setup, turn up to fence 9, which is this square oxer here, and then you have a real decision to make.
Well, if you're following that, you're doing well. It is really tight. You come around over fence 7, fence 8 and into 9, as Liz said, which is this oxer.
Back cups, you're a little bit downhill actually because this arena has a camber to it. So you've got to really sit up tall, keep the reins, keep the horse in gear, and then it's around to 11 and you're finished at 12.
The first fence is quite small, Liz. Does that set the tone for the rest of the track, or does it just catch you out?
Well, I think it's small, but you do need to set the tone in your pace and your positivity. So it's certainly going to be a good rip round, isn't it?
All to play for down here, Nicole. It's going to be exciting.
Well, we are just a few minutes now away from the start of the show jumping, and we will be looking to see how that leaderboard looks after the second of these phases, and the cross country is going to be absolutely tough. But I think it's time we went to go to Echo Ratings Corner and see who we need to look out for in the show jumping.
It's funny how this works out, Nicole. Sometimes it's a question that you've got to wait until closer to the end of the class before you get a real idea how this is going to play out. Today we're going to see it really early. First in there, I think we've got Patrick Whelan going in, who's already jumped. I think he's going for number 6 in terms of consecutive international clear show jumping rounds. So from the very first round, you're going to get an idea how this is riding. I've looked at the top rated, and actually you're going to have 2 more of those in the first 5 out there. T.S. Jemimo, of course, a 5-star winner, and Izzy Taylor on Perfect Stranger. Both of those are in those early 5. Again, they're giving you an indication on how this is going to play out. Also keep an eye on Bubby Upton, Richard Coney, who Nicole mentioned on the podcast, and then, of course, Sarah Ennis. These are our top-rated show jumpers in the field. Horses that I want to keep an eye on. Treason, 26.3, really close to the top of the field, very fast. Will make their influence felt this afternoon, but they have absolutely got to jump clear if they want to stay in touch. The other ones, Superstition, that's what I'm tipping up now in third, or in the top 5, I should say. But if they can jump clear, they can really, really push in the afternoon. Graf Liberty, Shannondale Titan, they're right beside each other. Both will be disappointed with the dressage. I think Graf Liberty will probably have a pole down. Shannondale Titan must jump clear for the series.
Well, let's take a look at that running order for the show jumping reverse order, which means that the last to go will be Oliver Townend and Ballamore Class. Patrick Whelan, ones to watch from Echo Ratings for a clear round, potentially early on. First in with Footfall making their Event Rider Masters debut. Izzy Taylor and Perfect Stranger also very good in this phase. Next, coming forward, Guirec Lacoste, Esprit de la Loge jump clear, and Jardy on their way to the top of the podium. Look out for Richard Coney and Kananaskis, who are looking for their 14th consecutive clear jumping round in the show jumping, and Tim Price and Westco on the podium already here in Arville. A little bit further on down the order, Alex Bragg, Zagreb, he had a test of 2 halves yesterday, really looking to climb back into a podium contention with Zagreb, and then those top 3. Sarah Cohen, Treason, got to jump clear. Sarah Ennis, Horseware, Stella Rebound, looking to push Oliver Townend and Ballamore Class all the way. So if you are just joining us here in Millstreet, then a very, very warm welcome to you. Alex Patian in the studio for me, and he's going to be bringing us all of his expert opinion on the show jumping track throughout the weekend. Alex, we've had a look at the course. How tough do you think it is going to be out there?
I think, looking at the course, it's big enough, and the time will undoubtedly be tight, but it's not as intimidating as some of the tracks you come across in the ERM series. obviously on an all-weather surface. Some good jumpers in the standings. So I kind of think that the good guys are going to hopefully make mincemeat of this.
Well, watch this space, mincemeat. That is a bold description. It's always easier when you don't have to jump it
That's
out.
it. That's
exactly.
it.
Well, Patrick Whelan is going to get us underway with Footfall, making his ERM debut, and a horse that has jumped clear at this level. I think Derm said looking for his 6th consecutive clear show jumping round. So this is going to be a really good indication. And Alex, just talk us through this, because it is a fairly straightforward start. He's come off the left rein to the first.
He has, and you'll see the crowd of riders all behind him there by the entrance. And it's nice to have a horse that you know will try and jump a good round. Sadly, had the second fence down there, but it gives you a bit of a better idea of the track. And I would say he's taking slightly tighter lines, but not chasing the time here. So trying to give this horse a good confidence-giving ride around this. Ooh, a little bit short down there.
Do you say that was running slightly down the hill as well?
Yeah, a little bit running down the hill, and that first oxer is not big going into the treble, which actually might well push the horses a little bit flat down the distance. Into this double, jump that much better.
You can see now the latter part of the horse's round why he does get those clear rounds, because he generally looks to be a very good jumper.
Yeah, and he looks rideable, and he looks adjustable. You can push him down on a distance, and if you're not 100% like he was coming out of the treble, the horse does his part of the job and looks after you as well, which is really what you want.
Now, I think this time is going to be looking pretty tight for Patrick Whelan. This will be quite interesting. 12 seconds as he jumps the Event Rider Masters planks.
And it's a long way back to that finish flags from that corner. He's going to be a good 6-7 seconds over, I reckon.
As he comes to the SAP Oxer to complete. The clock turns red, and he just sneaks a little bit over. So 0.8 time penalties, just 2 seconds over the time. So 4.8 to add in total for Patrick Whelan. And Footfall, so our Pathfinders go forward to cross country on 47.4. Now, time-wise, Alex, do you think he would be a good indication of tight lines, but actually there is room to be a little bit quicker?
I think there's definitely room to be quicker. I think he gave the horse a good ride. He tried to jump it carefully. And certainly there is an opportunity to take a few more risks for the horses that have a bit more experience. Sadly, a little bit of a mistake there at fence 2, perhaps a little bit deep, perhaps the horse a bit distracted coming away from the collecting ring. Another thing about this arena is it's a long way from the arena to the warm-up, and they've got to walk a long way, which sometimes distracts the horse.
Well, next to come forward, Jim Newsom, and McGuinness comes forward on 40.3.
Making a nice shape of that oxer at 3. And making a better meal of coming out. I think you'll find that most of the riders will be watching these first 2 and will be taking hints from how they've been riding around these distances. And Magnus looks like quite a big horse here, and Jim is having to spend a little bit of time on the corner setting him up. It'll be interesting to see how that translates into his time at the end.
And he's definitely quicker than Patrick was at this part. So he should be on track to be about on the time. Just got to clear the last. Is Jim Newsom going to give us our first clear round with McGuinness? He absolutely is. The horse's 4th consecutive clear round. Jim Newsom absolutely does all he can do in the show jumping. And what a round. So clear round number 1. And Alex, he actually made that time look pretty comfortable in the end.
He did, and I was a little bit surprised because normally in these ERM classes, unless you're chasing your distances off the corner, you don't have a chance of being anywhere near it. So I think that will give the riders a lot of confidence coming forwards into this show jumping around.
So Jim Newsom gives us our first clear round. Don't forget that you can vote for your favourite groom using the hashtag #EquestroGroom across social media. And Jim Newsom gives us a clear round. So next to come forward will be one of the oldest horses in the field. But if you are just joining us, here is Dan Alderson. Dan rides at TS Jemimo. This is a horse who looked pretty ready in his dressage yesterday to get onto the jumping phases. 38.5, 20 years of age, TS Jemimo, a horse that actually won Adelaide 5-star with Chris Burton on board back in 2013. Competed in the first ever Event Rider Masters leg at Chatsworth 2016 with Chris Burton as well. But Dan's had the ride for a couple of years now and is making a really good job with this horse, who particularly excels in the jumping phases, more than capable of a clear round. They've only had one pole down in, I think, their last 7 internationals, Alex. So this should be a combination that, again, can give us a good performance.
And if I remember, it's a full-blood, full thoroughbred horse. So I would hope, you know, with a good show jumping round here, he'll be able to make up for the dressage out on the cross country.
Absolutely, and he is renowned for being pretty quick in the cross country. Age certainly hasn't slowed him down.
Nice shape at the first fence, and often you find with these horses, you know, the more experience they have, they actually get fresher and hotter in the dressage as they go along, as they get to know what their job is and what's about to come up. And Daniel making a nice job of that treble, a little bit down the hill. And it's nice to see these older horses who've competed at 5-star competitions around the world and run around 12-minute courses. And for me, the ERM has such a wonderful place to be able to give these horses a couple more years left in the sport, right at the top.
And it is absolutely clear just how much TS Jemimo really does love his job. And he is clear of the Event Rider Masters planks. Time is fairly tight, but it's okay as he comes down to the final 2. And Dan Alderson was one that Echo Ratings put up as one of the best jumpers in the field. TS Jemimo clears the last, sneaks inside the time, and it is a faultless clear round. And actually, that is a real combination to watch, Alex, as you say. Quick across the country. Dan's going to fancy his chances to climb the leaderboard this afternoon.
Oh, and it's excited. It's ready to go, isn't it? It's ready to go cross country.
How brilliant is it, though, to see a horse just absolutely loving his job so much?
Well, this is what the horses love. And as riders, it's such a buzz and such a confidence giver to know that your horse really, really loves it and demonstrates it that way.
Well, Dan Alderson and TS Jemimo give us a clear round. So that is 2 clear rounds in the bank. The time is confirmed to stay at 84 seconds. That's a message from our ground jury. So that will not be changed. And 3 combinations have gone. Next to come forward is another combination that actually have a very good record in the jumping phases. It is Izzy Taylor and a Perfect Stranger, owned by Alex Phillips. And this is a horse that actually has just had 2 poles down in his last 13 international rounds. So very much one to watch in this phase. And you can see why, Alex.
And nowadays, everybody's sat on a good jumper. You can't escape it. You can't get away from it. You have to be sat on something that jumps well, and this is no exception. And with Izzy Taylor sat on your back, which certainly helps. She's so clinical, accurate, and time conscious. You know, if Izzy gets a time penalty, nobody else has a chance. And Izzy just obviously feeling like she can take a bit of time around that turn, make sure that she gets the distances that she wants, and that Perfect Stranger's in the right balance. Easy 6 strides down the hill and jumps the plank super clean.
Well, Lizzie Taylor comes to the last with Perfect Stranger on a faultless clear round so far, and she'll be no worse than 26th. That gives us clear round number 3, and perhaps to be expected by Perfect Stranger, but 3 clears from the first 4. Let's go to Echo Racing's corner.
Well, mince meat is what he said. Alex Watien said they weren't going to have any problem. It's already 3 clear rounds from our first 4. But one word of warning, I did tell you that you were going to have 2 of the top show jumpers in there. And next out, we've got Samuel Thomas and Elizabeth Power, of course, who's just come off that big win in the RDS in Dublin. So she is an incredible show jumper as well. My suggestion here is 40% is what we've seen the last few years. That's, you know, you're still looking at, you know, over 10 people from the 30 that we have. I think we're well on track for that. None of the riders are shaking in their boots on what we've seen so far.
Well, here is Elizabeth Power and Samuel Thomas, Izib, who's often found out pure show jumping. As Derm said, she had a couple of really good wins at Dublin Horse Show just a week or so ago. She's also often found competing at Hickstead in the Hickstead Derby. She's a very talented jockey from a family of very talented jockeys as well. And Samuel Thomas, a horse that certainly, if she can leave the poles up, would be fast across the country. So this, a key round at 37.4, can't afford a pole down to hold her position on the leaderboard.
It must be nice coming back from the Dublin Horse Show, jumping those great big...
I was going to say, they all look very small in here, I imagine.
I imagine so. I imagine so. But then you're sat on an event horse, different challenge, different balance. And it'll be interesting to see how this course progresses over the next hour with the horses coming up.
And the second goes. We've seen a couple take that now.
Just a little bit tight over that fence, didn't complete his jump, and just clipped the top rail with his hind end coming down, and again a little bit the same mistake there at that tall upright in the treble.
Well, 2 poles proving 4 places on the leaderboard so far.
Yeah. And Elizabeth having to help him as much as she can. And because she's having to help him a little bit on the turns and in front of the fences, you can see Elizabeth has had to cut that turn back to that second upright.
Now,
and clever riding there, I would say. You know,
she took the alternative there, didn't she? So she's wasted a little bit more time.
But I think the horses, for the first half of the course, for sure, has had either lacked a little bit of confidence or perhaps a little bit of scope, and had a good feel of his way around there. And actually, 1.6 seconds over the time. What's that? That's 0.8. Yeah, 0.8 of a penalty instead of having the planks down, I think is a clever decision.
Well, time certainly 0.8, not costing her any further damage on the leaderboard, but Elizabeth Power and Samuel Thomas still inside the top 30. And so we'll look forward to seeing them in the jumping phases this afternoon. But an early pole at the second, and the middle part of the treble combination go for them. Now it is Michael Ryan. And Michael Ryan rides a Barnahound Cornhill, just an 8-year-old coming forward in his 3rd run at the level. But a horse that went really well at Kilgilkey a little bit earlier on this year, and Campfire, I think, as well. And he's hugely experienced, Mike Ryan, but the second goes again.
I think, and the third. I think that second fence is a tall fence. It's 127. And the first fence is not big, so I think the horses are lulled a little bit into a false sense of security and come around the turn away from the collecting ring and are just caught out a little bit at that taller upright. And now the horse is really starting to show a little bit of class. I think perhaps an 8-year-old, a little bit green still, learning his trade at this level at the beginning of the track. Tight turn there from Michael.
He saw a stride there, Alex.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And that's the kind of distance you want at that Oxer. It's very interestingly placed by the course designer. You almost have to a little bit turn back on yourself from a bit of a gallop around that turn, and really risking the riders to catch a bit of a deeper spot, and Michael using his experience to see the forward distance off the turn.
Well, certainly kept him inside the time. 8 to add, so 42.9. And they have 8 to add in that final score. But let's go down to Hannah and hear from one of our riders with a clear round.
Izzy, you had a clear round. Congratulations. What did you make of the track?
Yeah, he was good. It's a very twisty track. I thought the time might have been a bit tighter, but it was definitely achievable. So we'll see how the rest of them get on.
There have been a couple having poles down. Is that to do with the surface, the height? What is it?
It's a proper track, yes. It's a big arena. Maybe people are chasing the time a little bit. The surface is quite loose for what we're used to, so all contributes.
Thanks, Izzy.
Thank you.
Well, next to come forwards, it will be Cathal Daniels with OLS King Aragon, another 8-year-old in the field, and Cathal hugely experienced. Now, this is really interesting because 33.9 his score, so he's within 10 penalties or a couple of fences of second place Sarah Ennis, who was actually his teammate at the World Equestrian Games last year in Tryon. So well in touch with the top of the leaderboard, and a man who's normally pretty quick on the cross country, only 22 years of age, but has medalled at pony, junior, young rider and senior level for Ireland. He's got a huge amount of experience on those young shoulders, and very much a good producer of young horses as well.
Some talented young man, this guy, and really starting to build his name and reputation on the eventing circuit as such.
And he looks to not be hanging around at all, Alex, at the start of his round.
No, he's been quite quick, but I would say that this is quite a quick striding horse. A horse that suits Cahill's very forward and decisive way of riding. And the horse just jumping a little bit flat into that double. And another mistake. That's a real shame, because I was just thinking how well the horse was jumping at the beginning of this track. But perhaps just the horse feeling a little bit of pressure on the time. But then it's difficult as a rider, because you have to, if the horse makes a couple of mistakes, obviously it's not something you want for that result at that moment in time, but at the same time the horses have to learn to be able to take the pressure and take the speed. And I would hope Cahill would look at that and think of it as a educational round.
Educational. Well, certainly 8 to add, 41.9 his score, so that sees him drop below Perfect Stranger, Izzy Taylor, and Dan Alderson, T.S. Jemimo, both who rise a couple of places on the leaderboard. And Jim Newsom-McGuinness also lucky to rise a place there as well. That was the first pole that went, Alex, and he just hit it behind.
Just tickled it behind. He saw a forward distance off the turn, a little bit cutting his corner, but then again, like at this level, you need a horse to be able to understand that that's what's expected.
Well, here comes Flora Harris and Bayano, 32.8 their score to come forward. And actually, they can have a pole down and hold their position, but they'd like a clear round. They jumped clear here 12 months ago in the cross country, had a couple of poles down in the show jumping on that occasion.
And an experienced combination. Former Brahman winners, good jumping record. And if those sharp-eyed watchers out there will have seen that Flora added an extra stride down to the number 3 and has gone around the back of that yellow Oxer down to the double. So she obviously feels confident that the time is not going to be too difficult.
She looks to be keeping moving forwards, though, doesn't she?
Yeah.
She's not hanging around even with the wider lines. And actually, her time looks pretty much okay as she comes to the option fence. In fact, looks very good, her time.
And he's a lovely pattern of a horse, Bayano.
Well, coming down to the last clear so far, and Flora Harris leaves all of the poles up, gives us clear round number 4. And they will fancy their chances for a clear inside the time as they did 12 months ago on the cross country. And a pat down the neck for Bayano. They're such a great partnership, these two, and the horse really gave her everything in there.
Yeah, and a lovely slow motion there of Bayano propping his shoulders back, making a proper shape over the fence and, you know, showing all of his experience down that combination.
Well, Bayano, a clear round with Flora Harris. So they hold their position, will be in 22nd position. Going forward to the cross-country a little bit later on. We'll be bringing you all of the cross-country action here, eventridermasters.tv. 11:20 we go live. It's a really quick turnaround from the show jumping. So here is Jessie Campbell, also on 32.4 with Amsterdam, a horse who was pretty happy to be out in the dressage yesterday. And Jessie delighted to be back competing in Event Rider Masters Leg. It's been a little while since we've seen him in the series. But very much this a horse that is a huge amount of talent, has been top 20 at Le Moulin and well placed in the Nations Cup at Houghton on the podium as well last year. So Jessie Campbell and Amsterdam.
He's a talented horse, Amsterdam, and Jessie is a very polished rider, so it'll be... They're normally pretty high up on the leaderboard. Oh!
And a pretty hairy moment. Well, just talk us through that, because the horse just looked kind of put down on him.
Yeah, I just wonder whether Amsterdam jumped the first 2 fences so nicely, and Jessie looked to sit very quietly coming into fence 3 on a good distance, and perhaps Amsterdam just didn't quite pick up the distance. A little bit the same there.
And looks to have just gone a little bit careful on him.
Yeah, and sometimes when they've gone a little bit careful, you want them to be, you want to put them in a slightly deeper spot, which gives the horse a little bit more confidence and security that they are up at the fence. With a confident horse, you want to then maybe perhaps give the horse a little bit more what we call space, a little bit more distance from the fence to protect them off that front rail. It just looks like, as you say, Amsterdam went a bit careful on Jessie and hesitated.
But he's done a great job in getting it back together, because Jessie Campbell just comes down to the last with 1 pole down, inside the time quite comfortably. So 36.4 is his total score, and just the 1 pole down. So Jessie Campbell drops just 1 place on the leaderboard. Flora Harris rises 1 place, so that sees her go just outside the top 20. And 4 clear rounds thus far as we head towards the 10 rider mark. This is just where he had that problem, Alex.
Yeah, he just a real hesitation and a real shock for the horse on takeoff. I don't know the horse as well as I should, but I'm sure it's something Jessie will want to look at. And
they kept the damage to 1 pole down. So Sam Griffiths next up with Billy Liffey, and 31.9 their starting score. So need to jump clear to stay ahead of Flora Harris and Bayano.
And this is a great horse. This horse always has a wonderful expression on his face, whatever he's doing. And you can see how quickly he came off the floor there, coming out of that combination. He's a big horse for that short 2 strides. And a super job through that double. Sam's had Billy Liffey for a couple of years now, produced by Olivia Craddock. Must be 2 years now Sam's had him, I think.
It was start of 2018, I think it was. Yeah. And since then he's been top 20 at Buccleuch and 8th at Saumur. So he's had a good few results with the horse.
Yeah.
And very much, I'd have thought, on the Australian selectors' radar heading into Tokyo 2020 next year.
And always a horse I've really admired. I think
The time is looking pretty tight here. He's going to run into time penalties. A clear jumping, but 1.2 time to add 33.1. That actually costs him a place on the leaderboard. Just drops below Flora Harris and Bayano on 32.8. But still a very accomplished clear jumping round from Sam Griffiths and Billy Liffey. But we are at 10 combinations into the show jumping now. Plenty of action. Let's go to Hannah.
Thanks, Nicole. We're going to see if we can grab a quick word from Sam as he gets off Billy Liffey. Just 1.2 time penalty. Sam, how was that? It's quite tight, isn't it?
I thought I flew around. My horse jumped beautifully, but, you know, time is tight. I didn't think I wasted too much out there.
Okay, and looking forward to the cross country this afternoon?
I am, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, good luck, Sam.
Cheers, thank you.
Well, news in from Echo Ratings is that Derm said in Echo Ratings Corner a little bit earlier on that he expected a 40% clear rate, and from the first 10 horses, it is a 40% clear rate. So that is how things are looking at the moment. So next to come forwards will be the combination who won in Jardy just a few weeks ago in leg 4. Gireg Lacoste currently ranked in 4th on the series leaderboard, so a good clear round here throws him into contention for the cross country. Esprit de la Loge, his ride, 31.1 his starting score. And this is a horse, Alex, I'm always fascinated to watch in the show jumping because doesn't even ride in a bitless bridle as such.
Like a head collar, practically.
A head collar with reins attached, yeah. But that is a remarkable amount of control and obviously how the horse likes to go.
I love this horse, I have to say. This is a horse that has really, really caught my eye. Caught my eye in the dressage yesterday as well. And I think has a huge future in this sport and a special jumper. And I thought looked so impressive at Jardy.
And you can just see how he wants to leave those fences up. No problems at the Red Mills fence at 2.
And it just looks like the type of horse that just would put such a big smile on your face as you're going around. He just makes such a wonderful shape, tries so hard, and
he tried very hard coming out of that combination.
And you know, he looked pretty allergic a little bit allergic to wood there, I would say.
Well, he'll just want to keep moving on up the hill to this double combination. Just backed off that water tray slightly.
The de la Loge, what's the word for I'm thinking prefix, but it's not, but it's afterwards.
I do know what you mean, yes.
Famous breeding operation in Belgium, breeding very good jumping horses. And this horse looks like must be from jumping lines and jumping background, the way it's making this course look.
Well, he just needs to keep an eye on that clock, but Gireg Lacoste and Esprit de la Loge coming down to the SAP Oxer on a clear round. The time is going to be fairly close, but he clears the last and just by the narrowest of margins, sneaks inside the time, guarantees himself a top 20 position going forward to the cross country a little bit later on this morning. But that was very close for comfort, Alex, but a class clear round.
Class, just such a beautiful horse. And from his round at Jardy, he looked like a horse that you could run pretty quickly cross country and trust him in front.
I would actually say that he would be the type of horse that would suit this ground slightly as well, because he's quite light and he'd sort of go over the top of it rather than go into it.
Light on his feet, scopy, quick in front, all the attributes you want to have a quick round on, a little bit tacky going.
Well, it was a French rider who won here 12 months ago, Thomas Carlyle, with the Upsilon, who's won a couple of Event Rider Masters legs. And Thomas would dearly love to make another French impression on that podium. All to play for in the cross country as Aurélie Riedweg and Rohan Domenech coming forward next, making her Event Rider Masters debut, 31.0 in the first phase.
This horse is a big striding, a deliberate striding horse, which can sometimes make it quite difficult to ride your quick, tight lines in the show jumping arena. But he looks really rideable and careful off the front rail of fences. And Aurelie doing a good job here, managing this horse's stride.
And the time looks okay as she comes round to the last couple. Needs to jump clear to hold her position. All rides her luck at the penultimate. But just the last to go, the SAP Oxer, and that rattles as well, but she goes clear. So our two French riders putting in two flawless clear rounds in the show jumping. And we'll be looking forward to seeing them across the country a little bit later on this afternoon. Aurelie, in her dressage interview yesterday, said she would have to really kick for the time, but the horse put in a really good clear round in the show jumping here to leave her well in contention, because she gives us clear round number 6, and she will stay on that score of 31.0 going forward to Mike Hetherington-Smith's cross country a little bit later on. Well, into the top 20, well into the top 20 now, and this next combination to come forward will be one that we really need to watch in terms of the series leaderboard, because it is Bill Levitt with Shannondale Titan. Bill, who's had 3 top 10 finishes on the trot in Wiesbaden, Arville and Jardy with this very horse. And it'll be interesting to see his jumping round, because he really does want to put the pressure on Chris Burton, who is next into the arena and his closest competitor here in series points. 30.9 for Bill Levitt and Shannondale Titan. And this is a horse that actually, Alex, is liable to picking up the odd time penalty in the show jumping. So it'll be interesting to watch their time as well.
I agree, but I think Billy will... Bill, that's a shame. I was just going to say that I would hope Billy would feel quite confident that this track would suit Bill with a bit of an easier time to catch, or not impossible time to catch anyway. And a real shame to have that. No real reason to either, from what I could see. It was just one of those unlucky things.
Well, it drops him a few places on the leaderboard, and he would really need to climb with a fast clear cross country to get good series points. Wasn't hanging around with the time there, made a pretty tight turn.
And the horse jumping really well after that little mistake.
The time actually looks close, but he should have enough time as long as he keeps moving to the last 2. So Bill Levitt, Shannondale Titan coming down to the last 1 pole down, and he does clear the final fence, so it is just 4 to add. He had a pole down in Jardy as well. 34.9 drops him outside of the top 20, but still well in touch, and it'll be interesting to see their cross-country round a little bit later on, because still able to get good series points. But we'll have a look at this pole down, Alex.
Just a little tap with the toes, wasn't it? And a late pole as well, wasn't it? It barely touched it.
He'll, I think, feel a little bit aggrieved and unlucky with that one, but it is gone, and Bill Levitt, Shannondale Titan have 1 pole down. So next to come forward, it is his closest challenger in the series, 3rd in the 2019 series so far, 54 points on the card from our first 4 legs. It is Chris Burton with Graph Liberty. This is a horse that has actually been on Event Rider Masters podiums 3 times previously, but a horse that has only jumped 1 clear round in his last 9 international runs. So if Chris Burton can jump clear here, Alex, he will really fancy his chances to climb towards that podium in the jumping this afternoon.
I imagine he will. He's supreme cross-country. Nobody else out there like it. Bit annoying for the rest of us riders, to be honest.
It's very good.
When we're all scrapping around and Berto just...
Well, a pole does go. So 34.2 now. That will keep him ahead of Bill Levitt, but he can't afford another.
And Chris is one of the riders that spends a lot of time doing quite a bit of pure show jumping as well. And you can see he has the horses on a very polished distance, very polished balance to all of his fences.
Time is absolutely fine. And this horse had a pole down, I think, when he won at Blair Castle last year. So all is not lost. He's just got to clear the SAP Oxer at the last. And he does. So he stays ahead of Bill Levitt. Just the one pole down for Chris Burton and Graf Liberty. 34.2 his total score. So Chris Burton just comes out of the arena. Hannah, so close on that series leaderboard.
So close, just one pole, which will be a little bit expensive for him. Chris, one pole down, how was it?
Well, it's just a bit frustrating, wasn't it? The horse jumped really well, leaving a bit of room for the front rail, and then he just caught the back rail, the old bugger.
You know, Bill had a rail as well, so you're just behind him in the series leader. It keeps it very, very close.
Yeah, well, we've still got to have a crack, haven't we? So we can't have Bill beating us.
You're going to be very quick across the country, though, I have no doubt.
Oh, he's a very good old horse, so we'll see how he feels.
Okay, good luck, Chris.
Thank you.
He's so cool, but there's a reason that Echo Ratings have dubbed him the fastest man on turf. It is because he is so fast in that cross-country phase. Now it is Tom McEwen. Tom rides Figaro Van Het Broekhoff, a horse that went really well at Chatsworth earlier this year. In fact, has been on incredible form this year, Figaro. And comes forward on 30.1 in the first phase. Was second at Chatsworth, actually second in the 5-star at Le Moulin this summer as well. So had a bit of a break after that big result, but very much on the comeback. And Tom, one of the most talented jockeys on the circuit.
And in flying form.
In excellent form. And how much of as a rider confidence play a part?
An enormous amount. Confidence in all sports is important, but as a rider, you have to be able to exude that confidence to your horse as well. And a horse is very much a mirror always of what you're feeling. And if you can, you know, if you're not actually that confident and it's a bit false, then the horse will get it.
Well, this is a horse that hasn't always favoured this phase, but Tom has really worked hard on it. I'm frightened to say anything for fear of curse of the commentator. Tom will be coming for me.
And Tom taking a tight line in there, and those watching who are riders themselves should note Tom's position in the middle of that treble. This horse is a big horse, and Tom's not the tallest, and he anticipated the short distance coming out the 2 strides and really used his shoulders to help the horse's balance over the middle part coming out.
And actually, he looks like a horse that Tom doesn't want to rush
No.
for fear of going on the forehand. So actually, those tight lines are key for him.
And quite often, actually, as long as you're a jockey who can see a distance around a tight line helps the horse keep connected and in a good balance.
Well, Tom McEwen comes to the last on a clear round, and he rubs the last, but it stays. This is a very important clear round for Tom McEwen because he climbed with a clear round at Chatsworth, and he is going to climb with a clear round here in Millstreet. A big performance from this young man, and he will be no worse than 16th, 30.1, but the gauntlet has been laid down. Tom McEwen, Figaro Van Het Broekhoff, and I think that was a real show of horsemanship.
Absolutely. You know, he gave this horse a peach of a ride, a horse that's, you know, a big striding animal, really helping him with his balance, and obviously taking a huge amount of time to help the horse off the floor with a bit of space.
Well, it absolutely works. So Tom McEwen, the clubhouse leader, 30.1. That is the score to beat. As next 2 come forward, it is Bubby Upton with Cannavaro. And this is a horse that, again, is a very good jumper. Only 1 pole down in 13 international competitions. Bubby won her junior European title in this very arena 2 years ago here at Millstreet.
And a super talented British rider coming up the grades. I saw her jump a horse yesterday in the 4-star short in the normal class and jumped a super clear.
Those 2 strides at the second part of that combination do come up quite quick, don't they?
I think the treble's been very cleverly placed, a little bit downhill. The oxer going in is not the tallest, and it just doesn't push the horses to pull their shoulders back going in. encourages a little bit of a flatter jump going in, which then catches you out coming out.
Well, she just needs to watch this time a little bit because it is sneaking away from her. Can't afford a time penalty to stay ahead of Tom McEwen, and she's going to be tight as she comes down the final line. But Bobby Upton and Cannavaro are going to sneak into time penalty territory. The clock turns red, they jump clear, but it'll be 1.2 time penalties, so 31.2. And actually, that's quite expensive for them because it drops them below Tom McEwen, below Aurélie Riedberg, and below Gireg Lecoz. So a good clear round, but unfortunately an expensive few time, Alex.
And it's amazing the influence of time penalties in show jumping nowadays. And it used to be one penalty per second, and even softening that penalty is still tough enough.
Well, Bobby Upton, just a couple of time penalties for her. But let's go back to Ekka Rating's corner and see how things are shaping up there.
We are on track, Nicole. We are very much on track. 40% was the number we gave. Still some of the big jumpers to come. Look, from what we've heard so far, from what we've seen so far, and it's going to be really interesting to have Alex in the studio as we go into that final 10, there is the opportunity to lose some time. So, yes, it is possible to jump clear, but as the pressure continues to build here, will the riders stay on it? I think there's a couple here, particularly Sarah Cohn and Treason, that if they can jump clear, Lucy Jackson's Superstition is the other big round to watch. If they can jump clear as we come into the last 10, they set themselves up perfectly for the afternoon.
Well, let's take a look at the clubhouse leaderboard as it is. Tom McEwen, Figaro, Van Het, Brookshoff, the ones to beat, 30.1. Just over 2 fences behind our leaders, who will be Oliver Town and Ballamore Class, the last to go into the arena. But this next combination are ones that I was really looking forward to welcoming here to Millstreet in their first Event Rider Masters appearance. It is Richard Coney with Kanaskakis, who come forward on 29.4, and a combination who are looking for their 14th consecutive clear jumping round. They picked up the odd time penalty on occasion, but generally very reliable at keeping the poles up.
And nice springs off the floor there at the first 1, 2, and 3. Looking comfortable in this arena.
Takes the favoured line coming into the double.
Oops, that's a shame. Oh dear.
He had a miscommunication there, Alex. He didn't agree with his stride coming in, and then unfortunately, it really put paid to the whole combination.
It's such a shame. They were jumping a beautiful round, and Richard made a big adjustment, 3 strides out from that double, didn't work in his favour, sadly. The horse added an extra stride in the double.
And was very honest.
Very honest, kept going, but there's 2 fences I think Richard will be really unhappy to have had.
Well, he comes down to the last. He's going to get a couple of time penalties as well, and it is a very costly round for Richard Coney. 9.2 to add. He goes forward to cross country on 38.6, but we're going to see this problem through the combination again, because real disappointment for Richard Coney. Bill Levitt watching on. Just see that again. Just didn't get his right stride, Alex.
Yeah, and that big adjustment, I think perhaps he thought he was a little bit floaty and a little bit long coming in, so tried to add an extra stride and ended up adding too much.
Well, an expensive couple down for Richard Coney as we head now into the top 13. Liz Halliday-Sharp, Fernhill by Night next to come forwards on a score of 29.4. Now, Liz said a little bit earlier on that she felt you could really make up time in some of those lines, Alex, and she set out like she means business.
Ooh, That was as close to having a 4 as you could get, really, wasn't it? I saw that roll a few times.
A little bit of lady luck.
Yeah, and she just was quite quick down that distance, and I think got to that Oxer fence 3 a little bit earlier than she wanted to, but has made an adjustment since, and this horse is jumping out of its skin.
Actually a horse that was 5th here at Millstreet 12 months ago. So definite course form.
And there we go, a little bit of an angle, as she said in the introduction, giving her a good turn back to this upright here.
And that time looks to be okay. So Liz Halliday-Sharp is clear as she comes to the final line. Just the last to go. And will it be clear round number 8 that goes to the United States? It absolutely is. And foot perfect from Liz Halliday-Sharp. Fernhill by night, top 10 in Wiesbaden a little bit earlier on this year. And Liz looks absolutely delighted with that. So Liz Halliday-Sharp, Fernhill by night, brilliant faultless clear round number 8. And let's go and hear what Liz has to say with Hannah.
Liz, congratulations. You talked us through the course beautifully and you absolutely nailed it. Blackie jumped out of his skin.
Oh, he jumped brilliantly, didn't he? He was just absolutely class. And, you know, it's taken a lot of years to get him comfortable sort of moving around a course like that. And today he was foot perfect.
There was one little wobble early on and I thought, oh, that's close to going, but it stayed up.
Yeah, I got a little bit keen down to fence 3, and then I know the horse, and if I'd really shoved him for that long one, he probably would have stopped. So he's a bit careful. So he looked after me there, and then we sort of got in our flow, and it got better after that.
You're in a great spot for this afternoon. You looking forward to the cross country?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm still deciding if I should run or not. I've got to have a look because my horse hates the mud. He really does, and he's an old man. But I might be tempted now that he's gone so well today.
Yeah, you'll go for it. Good luck, Liz.
Thank you.
A very, very good competitor. Liz Halliday-Sharp clear with Fernhill by night. She is the clubhouse leader. As this is a horse that really impressed in the first phase yesterday. Willunga, ridden by Kevin McNabb, 28.8. Their starting score in 12th position coming forward. So well in touch with our leaders and within a pole of 2nd place. So that is how close it is on the leaderboard. And a horse that can have the occasional pole in the show jumping, but is also exceptionally talented for Kevin for the future. And he really gave the Red Mills upright a rattle, Alex.
Little tickle at 2, but sometimes that just gives horse and rider a little bit of a timely shot across the bows, and you would hope at this level that most of the horses will take that and try a little bit harder at the next. Ooh. Riding his luck a little bit at the water tray.
Rattled a couple, but so far they've all stayed.
And you could hear Kevin using his voice there in front of that double, just he knew he was a little bit coming in quite forwards on a good distance, and just saying to the horse, whoa there, bring your shoulders back to me.
Time looks okay. Coming round these final 2 fences. It'd be good to see Kevin McNabb competitive in the Event Rider Masters Series. Just the last to go, and this will really put the pressure on. He rattles it again, but it stays at an excellent clear round for Kevin McNabb, and he just checks the clock, but he's inside, so 28.2. He's guaranteed a top 12 position going forward to the cross country a little bit later on today. But that was a very, very classy performance from the Australian in this 2nd phase. And this is a horse that has really impressed us in both of the phases so far. Kevin rode that really, really well.
I'd say Kevin should be pretty pleased with himself about that round. He's given the horse as good a ride as it could possibly have had. And now a big cross-country round for them.
Well, here come the Arveal winners. Tim Price and Wesco, an equal 10th, 28.5 their dressage score. And this is a horse that, as I say, won in Arveal, jumped clear on that occasion in the show jumping. Is a 5-star winner as well. And it was 4th in Aachen just a few weeks ago. Rather rattles the first, owned by the Windrush Equestrian Foundation. Dash was pretty bright in his dressage. I think took Tim a little bit by surprise, feeling exceptionally well.
I think his trot work was lovely, and then I turned my back to look at the show jumping, and I turned back around, and he'd gone hot in the canter.
I think in one of the extended canters, Tim was slightly worried he'd just carry on out of the arena. He really was very keen.
And I love to watch these two around the show jumping arena because they've got such a wonderful partnership.
And this is a combination that can be really quick on the cross country as well. They were inside the time in Arveal and can really climb into series points contention with a fast clear.
And I think Wesco, whenever I've watched him, he's not only a super talented horse, but he seems to be, he has that wonderful relationship with Tim and seems to be really rideable. Tim can have him and put him and do what he wants with him.
I think if Tim doesn't see the line, Wesco does.
Yes, well, that as well, and I think it just means that Tim can squeeze every second out of every distance.
He has done all he can do in the show jumping. He is going forward to the cross country inside the top 10 on his dressage score of 28.5. Tim Price and Wesco faultless in this phase. So Tim Price, as we head to the final 10 horses to go. News in from Echo Ratings is that the clear rate from 20 horses is actually 50%. So we've had 10 clear rounds from 20 riders, and this is actually second highest in Event Rider Masters history. Back in 2017 at Barbary, the highest rate was 61%. So we could still touch that. We've got some very good jumpers coming forward in the final 10 to go. And that includes this young lady, Gemma Tattersall, Quick Look. A horse who jumped clear show jumping in Arveal and Jardy last time out, was second in Jardy on the podium. Just missed out on the top spot with a couple of time penalties cross country. Does it add an extra degree of pressure, Alex, if you know there's lots of clear rounds?
It does. I think so. It does. You're coming in knowing that it's to be expected and there's absolutely no room for error.
And this horse usually very good in this phase. Pebbles, as she's known at home, owned by the Pebbles Syndicate.
Wonderfully distinctive looking horse, isn't she?
She really is. When you see her up close, you can see just where the name Pebbles comes from.
And she's a strong, round little horse. And Gemma's done a great job with her conditioning her for the cross-country side of things, as well as the flat work and the jumping, which would be the horse's strength physically.
Gemma describes her as a bit of a water baby because she spends a lot of time on the water treadmill, a lot of time swimming, and that's how she does the bulk of her fitness work.
And that's the kind of management nowadays that we have to think about with our horses. You know, the pressures and the stresses of sports life, injuries, management, fitness. Great shot of Gemma's focus over that oxer.
A clear so far. So Gemma Tattersall comes down the final line with nothing to add so far. Just the SAP Oxer stands between her and a faultless round. And she clears it very easily inside the time. So they'll stay inside the top 10. And it is clear round number 11. But a really polished performance from Gemma Tattersall and a Quick Look, who've won an Event Rider Masters leg previously. Chatsworth 2017, the year that Gemma won the series title as well. And the mare, you can see what a careful jumper she is, Alex. She's a proper athlete, isn't she?
She is, and she's strong. You know, you can see physically the makeup of her body, the mechanics of her body in comparison to other horses. She's She's a strong lady. She's got a great engine, strong neck and shoulders, and it really helps her over these big wider oxes to propel herself and Gemma around a clear round.
She did a super round. The next two come forward, Alex Bragg and Zagreb, who come forward on 28.2 in 9th after the first phase. Alex, visibly pretty disappointed with his dressage yesterday. Had such incredible trot work in the first half, and just a couple of mistakes creeping in the canter, which cost him a real challenge at the very top of the leaderboard, or a podium place coming forward to the jumping. But we're into the top 9 now, and he is still well in touch. A horse that has previously been on top of an Event Rider Masters podium. That was at Jardy 2018. Jumped clear in the show jumping on that occasion and was clear inside the time cross country. Alex very much keen to put in strong performances in these last 2 phases today. And this is an exceptionally elegant horse, Alex. We've seen all manner of types, haven't we?
He's an eyeful of a horse. He's wonderful. He's big animal. Alex always seems to ride big animals. And elegant, scopy, everything you could possibly want. But he's had his grab a long time now, hasn't he? It's been a long partnership.
And this was the horse that really actually kick-started Alex's eventing career, because he sort of catapulted himself onto top level with a top 5 finish at Poe a few years ago, but we're only talking sort of 3 or 4 years ago. And actually, this horse has been the stalwart of his top level career. The first part of that double rattled but stayed.
Alex was just a little bit quick coming into the double, but kept hold of the contact, kept his position and his balance, and just about got away with it. And settled back into a good balance since. Oops.
Now he needs to leave these last 2 up to hold his position on the leaderboard. Alex Bragg, the grab, coming down to the final fence. They've been Event Rider Masters winners before, and they've laid down their challenge here in Millstreet. He loves playing up to the crowd, does Alex Bragg, and they'll be cheering him on the cross country a little bit later on today. But he stays inside the top 10, and it is clear round number 12. Alex absolutely delighted with that. Zagreb faultless in this second phase. And let's go and hear what the man has to say. He'll be pleased with that one, Hannah.
He certainly will. There was a little bit of disappointment for Alex yesterday after what's been a tough week, but what about redemption, eh?
Yeah, well, that's a superstar horse, isn't it? Like I said yesterday, you know, he's been a star and a warrior for me, and I love him to bits, and he's a true professional, more professional than I was yesterday, thank God, but that's a partnership, which is what this is all about.
You're no stranger to a cross-country course, and you're very quick with it, Alex. You're in a really good spot for this afternoon.
Yeah, and I think the ground, from the weather, I thought it would dry out a little bit more, but it's quite heavy. So we'll just have to see, you know, that could cause a few issues and could tire the horses a bit. But, you know, we'll see. It's all to play for.
Best of luck, Alex. We're rooting for you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Well, interesting that Alex says that the cross-country, the ground is still pretty heavy, because that could really play into the hands of a few of our combinations, notably Chris Burton for series points. Now it is Carlos Parro for Brazil. Carlos rides his own and MTech Laboratories Calcourt landline on a score of 28.0, put in a personal best for the horse at this level in the dressage yesterday, and he's in great form. Individual bronze medal, team silver from the Pan American Games in Lima, Peru just a few weeks ago. This is a horse that's had a bit of time on the sidelines, but is back and certainly in fighting form.
Lovely horse, and I think I heard Carlos was quite pleased with his music choice yesterday.
Well, I think you can take the credit for that, can't you, Alex? When you ask
I didn't think you guys would actually do it. I was only joking, but I'm quite pleased about it.
When you ask your friends to pick your music for you, and Alex Martian comes up with Barbie Girl,
yeah,
you regret it when you're going down the centre line.
Ken Parro, as we like to call him.
It certainly didn't do him any. It didn't do him any problems in the dressage, because he put in a great test.
Good ride through the double. And he's looking quick enough. having to push a little bit for his distance. But Calcourt Landline really picking up and looking really, really confident.
And this is a super clear round so far. Easily inside the time. As he comes down to the last, Carlos Parro could be about to put in a super clear round for Brazil. Takes a flyer at the last, and he does so absolutely faultless. And we've 6 clear rounds on the trot now. It is certainly all to play for on the cross country this afternoon. So Carlos Parro, big pats for Calcourt Landline. And he's absolutely delighted with that clear round. 6 clear rounds on the trot. Alex, that means any poles now are going to prove so expensive.
So expensive, yeah, absolutely. And Carlos, it's so lovely to see Carlos doing well at this level. He's been in Europe a long time now, based in Cheshire.
And he's got a really nice team of horses as Team Brazil look to secure that qualification. They've got the qualifying ticket. Now they need to get the riders qualified heading into Tokyo. Well, here comes Sam Watson with the Imperial Sky, a horse who won on his last outing in Campfire, the Nations Cup with Sam just a few weeks ago. Toby, as he's known at home, sponsored by Red Mills, and jumps their fence cleanly. A little bit of an unorthodox jumping technique, Alex.
It is. I've not seen this horse jump before, so the first fence I was like, oh, hello. But he's jumped, you know, he's clean and clear, and Sam obviously knows what he's doing with him.
If he leaves them up, it doesn't matter how you get over them.
That's very true.
And Sam has been in great form this year. Won Ballandenis long format on this horse a little bit earlier on this year.
And when the horses jump with a very high frame, it's very difficult for them to do what we call throw away behind, which is where you see a horse with a perhaps more orthodox bascule really throw their hind legs high up in the air and clear the hind back of the fence easily, whereas Imperial Sky with his high frame finds it more difficult, but he's clean and clear so far.
Well, Ireland would dearly love to have one of their home riders on the podium. Sam Watson clears the last, and he will be in the top 7 going forward to this afternoon's cross country. Sam Watson, Imperial Sky, faultless in the second phase. So that is all they can do, and we look forward to seeing them in the cross country. But Sam Watson, 1/2 of Echo ratings, a clear round, and Derm, that clear rate, it's climbing.
Clear rate is climbing, thank God for that one. That was a big round for us all in the studio. We still have one more very popular Irish rider to come, Sarah Ennis. She's just behind Oliver Townend. Look, if we're already comfortably highest from 24 event rider masters classes over the last 4 years, this is now the 2nd highest, and it will stay the 2nd highest in terms of the jumping clear. If we were to see 6 more from the last 7, 5 from 6 it is now, we would go to the highest ever. Treason is the one to watch, and Superstition. Sarah Cohen and Lucy Jackson, if those 2 can jump clear, they're in with a real shout this afternoon. They're the 2 I'm watching.
Well, next to come forward, we're into the top 6 now. Reverse order show jumping here in Millstreet, leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. Alex Fatian in the studio with me, and it is Emily King next to go. 26.7, cannot afford a pole down to stay ahead of Sam Watson and Imperial Sky. It's a horse that actually had quite a few time penalties, jumped clear, but time caught them out in Jardy a couple of weeks ago. Emily won't want to make the same mistake twice.
The lovely Brookley, a horse that Emily's had a long time now, had a bit of time off, and back now competing at the highest level.
He was actually produced by Clayton Fredericks. I'm just wondering if he was there when you were there, Alex.
He was. I knew him really well as a young horse, and it's nice to see him doing so well with an up-and-coming rider like Emily. And I think it's one of the horses I think that Emily has one of the best partnerships with.
And he's a horse that's had a bit of time away from the top level over the last couple of years, but very much back, and Emily's pretty careful about how she runs him. Worked hard through the double combination.
And he's always, even as a young horse, had a pretty unorthodox technique over a fence, but I would say he's jumping as well as I've ever seen him jump.
And actually, she doesn't look to be hanging around. So the times are looking okay at the moment. Just needs to keep moving.
And he's another horse with a lovely expression on his face, well, whatever he does, always happy.
Well, Emily King, 26.7. Her score needs to jump the last to hold her position. She'll be in the top 6 going cross-country if she does, and she clears it, so sneaks inside the time. Emily King and Brookley, 26.7, into the top 5 in just a moment, but they will hold their position, and it is clear round number 7 in a row now. So a faultless performance from Emily, and that horse really didn't put any doubt in there.
No, absolutely not. Look clean, look easy, and a signature King smile at the end, beaming smile through the finish. Lovely to see this partnership going so well.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing them on the cross-country. EventRiderMasters.tv. Don't forget to vote for your Equistro Groom using the hashtag Equistro Groom as next to come forward. It is Lucy Jackson Superstition, 3rd at Chatsworth this spring, owned by Gillian Greenlees, and actually Monarch Elite Event Horse Sale, donating a 2-night stay to the winning owner of each of our winning combination horses as well. So very much something in it for the owners here this weekend. And this is a horse that Lucy thinks a huge amount of. Jumped clear at Chatsworth, Alex, and will be all to play for. Rating's one of their ones to watch.
And very quick coming off the floor there, coming at the C part of the treble. Showing how careful he is and his athleticism. Ooh, little tickles.
And Lucy was absolutely delighted with her dressage yesterday. We had her on the eventing podcast for the preview here in Millstreet, and she was hoping to be in the 20s, but a 26.4, I think, exceeded her expectations.
And a pretty polished round so far.
Well, this is going to be a really big combination to watch in the cross-country if they can clear the last, and they do. Lucy Jackson Superstition, absolutely delighted with that. They were on the podium at Chatsworth earlier this year. Can they be on the podium here in Millstreet? Well, they've done everything that they can do in this second phase, and you can just see how delighted Lucy really is with that performance, because she adores this horse, very much looking for Tokyo 2020 for Team New Zealand. They're a tough team to break into, but this horse is absolutely doing everything he can do with Lucy. Has been faultless so far this year, backed it up after Chatsworth with a top 5 at Bramham as well. And actually, Alex, I don't know what you think, but I think this is a horse that if the ground is deep on the cross-country, again, is another that would go across the top of it rather than sort of into it, which sounds silly, but horses can sort of get a little stuck in the mud if they're not keen.
Yeah, and the bigger, more deliberate striding horses, I think, will find the deep going harder, and this is quick, keen-looking, athletic, so I think you're right. I think it has as good a chance of being as quick as any out there.
Well, next to come forward, it is Millie Dumas with Mr. and Mrs. Guy's Fabian, 26.4 in 4th position, coming forward, and a horse that went really well at Tattersalls earlier this year in the long format 4-star. Millie's such a talented young jockey.
And she does have some very beautiful horses at the moment.
She has a really nice team of horses. Jumped double clear at her first Badminton this spring.
I've not seen her sat on a horse here. I think she's got 4 or 5 horses here at Millstreet. I've not seen her sat on one that I wouldn't want to take home myself.
Watch out, Millie. So far, so good.
And she's so polished in this phase. And all of her horses produced within an inch of their lives, really, to produce these beautifully balanced rounds.
pole down is going to prove so expensive. You can see it plummets her out of the top 4, 10 places on the leaderboard. And that is a real shame for Millie Dumas. And unfortunately, another goes as well. The horse just getting a little bit keen as they come down to the last. And 34.4 drops her 16 places on the leaderboard in total. And Millie will be absolutely disappointed with that one, Alex, because she had looked so faultless to that point.
Just 2 rails right at the end of the track. And as far as I can tell, there was no reason to have them. They, I don't know the horse that well, but perhaps lacking a little bit of experience and just running out of steam a little bit at the end of a big track.
Well, 2 poles down, and that's a real shame for Millie Dumas. Fabian drops them down to 20th position at the moment. So just 3 combinations left to go here in the Event Rider Masters. And if all 3 of them jump clear, then we would be looking at one of the highest ever clear rates in Event Rider Masters history. Eck rating saying it would be upwards of 61%. But of course, all 3 have got to jump clear now. And this lady really does have to jump clear. It is Sarah Cohen with Pressy Sparks, Treason, Finn and Liz Jones, who've been huge parts of Sarah's career, actually out here supporting the horse this weekend, bred by the Pressy Sparks stud. And 26.3, they put in a faultless performance in that first phase, but definitely a combination that have had a few rails so far this year, so they can't afford any here today. 26.3, they want to stay ahead of Lucy Jackson and Superstition, who are hot on their heels. And Alex, a little bit far off the first.
A little bit. She sort of took a funny, little bit interesting wandering line through the fences to get to the first fence, but Sarah is a really, really talented rider, because from what I understand, Treason is her only horse that she rides.
He absolutely is, and she rides him at top level. Son Alfie watching on, he's been out supporting her this weekend.
And it's really difficult to ride at this level with only one horse, because you can't jump them every day to practice yourself.
And they have such a great partnership,
yeah.
These two. And he's a real family pet. You know, he stays at home, they've got a kids pony as well, and he just is part of the Cohen family. Just had to work pretty hard around the corner, but so far so good. 26.3, 5 left to jump. 4 left to jump actually, or now 3.
And a real ERM favourite, Sarah.
And actually, she was gutted with that 20 penalties on the cross-country in Jardy. If she can jump clear, then this is going to be a massive moment in Event Rider Masters leg here in Millstreet. Sarah Cohen, oh, the last goes. Disappointment for her. And just looks back over her shoulder. 1 pole down, 30.3, just drops them outside of the top 10. That is how expensive it is, but actually still within enough penalties of our leaders that she could climb a bit across the country. But your heart goes out to Sarah Cohen. The final fence, the back rail of it goes.
And that's such a shame, because that fence hasn't gone at all day, has it?
I don't think it has. And unfortunately, it is very expensive for Sarah Cohen and Treason. But just see it. Oh, the last goes. Do you think she was a little mindful of the time, Alex?
I think perhaps. Just such a... I think a little bit mindful of the time. And to be honest, no real reason to have that fence, I would say. It was just one of those things.
Well,
she'll be gutted.
Real disappointment for Sarah Cohen and Treason. 1 pole down, but still in touch. They do drop just outside of the top 10, though. Now just 2 combinations left to go. Here are Horseware, Stellar Rebound, Sarah Ennis on a score of 25.0. So they need to put the pressure on Oliver Townend and Ballamore Class.
And so exciting to see this combination back out after a sterling performance at World Games last year.
Finished in the top 5, and actually, if memory serves me correctly, they had a pole down in the show jumping, which actually kept them out of individual medals. Really unlucky to miss out.
But a big contribution to the team medal.
Absolutely, and
I
team
think
silver for Ireland.
A really important combination for Ireland coming into next year.
And this is a horse that actually has good Millstreet form as well. He's been second here previously and is very quick across the country usually. Has had a bit of time off though since those World Games. So all to play for, but she's a very competitive lady, is Sarah Ennis. And actually, she just needs to be a little bit mindful of the clock here. Doesn't want to hang around too much as she heads down to the last two.
Stella Rebound just looking on the keen side.
He'll be looking on the keen side in the cross-country, I think, as well. He's always very, very full of himself. But Horseware, Stella Rebound, Sarah Ennis, the clock is going to prove a little tricky. Just 0.8 of a time penalty, but they hold on to their second position, 25.8. And that does just open the door. It gives Oliver Townend a whole fence in hand, but Sarah Ennis no worse than second going forward to the cross-country a little bit later on today. And they will absolutely, no doubt, be looking to chase that clock on Mike Etherington Smith's cross-country track. He looks happy to be back at a party, Alex.
He does, and it's just so nice to see him back.
So Horseware, Stella Rebound. Will Ireland be leading going into the cross-country, or will it be Team GB? Oliver Townend next to come forwards. That is with Ballamore class. There he is. A man who is the 2016 Event Rider Masters Series champion. And he can afford one pole down to hold his position, cannot afford two. On that incredible dressage score of 21, equal fourth in Event Rider Masters dressage test history. And this is a horse that can have the odd pole down in the show jumping, but no better man on board. An out-and-out five-star campaigner. And this is a big moment. Oliver Townend, your leaders, Ballamore class. Alex, he's jumping beautifully.
Jumping really, really well. So quick in his shoulder, round in his back. Oh, short coming out the treble, but did a good job of it. Little tickle behind going into the double, but the pole stays.
Just angling that upright. Just United around the corner, but jumps it clear.
And he's a big, rangy horse. So Ollie doing a really good job keeping him together.
Bill Levitt just watching on. As Oliver Townend comes to the last. Ballamore class, can he be our leader going forward to the cross-country? And he absolutely is inside the time. A brilliant clear round from this experienced combination. And Oliver Townend does everything that he can to put the pressure on those and says, catch me if you can. 21.0, an absolutely beautiful clear round with Ballamore class. And that horse, Alex, he looked incredible in the dressage, but his jumping just as good.
I would agree with you, but the only thing is just a couple of little tickles behind at uprights, which were not strong enough to have them down, but perhaps something that Oliver will be looking at and working on coming into this autumn. But I have to say his dressage yesterday was special.
Well, it really was, and he is on a score of 21. So he is our leader coming forwards to the cross-country a little bit later on today. 4.8 time penalties ahead of Sarah Ennis, so that is 12 seconds over Mike Etherington Smith's cross-country track. Horseware, Stella Rebound in second with Sarah Ennis. The home crowd would dearly love to see Sarah, or indeed Sam Watson, in fifth on the podium. Alex Bragg and Zagreb, brilliant clear round for them, moved them up 2 places, well in touch, and also Tim Price and Gemma Tattersall. A little bit further on down the leaderboard, Tom McEwen, Figaro, Van Het Broekhoff just outside of the top 10 now. Don't discount them to climb onto the top 5 with a fast clear in the cross country. And the Jardy winners, Gurig Lacoste, Esprit de la Loge, also jumping clear. An expensive round for Is It Power and Samuel Thomas, 8.8 to add for them. And also Richard Coney, really disappointing for him, 9.2 time. So disappointing for them, but that is the leaderboard as things stand at the moment as we head into the cross country. And let's go down and hear from Hannah.
Oliver, that was another lovely round. You had a fantastic dressage yesterday. You're in a very, very comfortable spot going into cross country.
Yeah, very happy with Ballamore class and the way he's performing at the minute. He's sharpening up more and more week in, week out and getting fitter and tighter, and couldn't be happier with where he is in terms of physical and mental state.
You've been out for a little while with injury, and yet you come back and it looks like you've never been away. I mean, how do you do it?
I feel better for the break. Yeah, you know, riding good horses makes you look good.
What do you think of the course? How's the going?
Yeah, tough enough. Drying out, walked first thing. Gonna have to have a discussion with the owners to see what they're thinking, but yeah, it's going to be testing.
Is there a chance you won't run?
Again, it's probably not down to my decision, but at the same time, you know, there's a lot more going on this season. He's aiming for Burley, so I would imagine there's every chance that he might not get the chance to run, which is a little bit sad because I'm desperate to be back in this series. You know, it's very important for me and it's a huge help for the whole sport. So not running is going to be a difficult decision, but obviously it's the horse's future that we've got to bear in mind the most. Not many horses come across you like this in a lifetime, let alone a short career so far. So we're just going to look after him and make the best decision for him.
Okay, well, obviously we hope you do run, but if you do, best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Well, it is all down to horse welfare. Will Oliver Townend head out as our leader going into the cross country? We will watch this space and wait for news. We'll update you with it as we hear it. But if not, Sarah Ennis certainly going to be one of the favourites for the home nation. But a faultless clear round for Oliver Townend. He really has looked brilliant in both phases so far, Ballamore class. And we will look forward, as I say, to this afternoon's cross country, which we will be bringing for you, eventridermasters.tv. We hope that you've enjoyed all of the show jumping action this morning. Plenty of clear rounds in this second phase. Alex Patian in the studio with me. Alex, just quickly a word on the show jumping. You said they might make mincemeat of it, and actually, best in the world, they did.
Yeah, it's, you know, ERM tracks are always big, the time's always tight. I would say it's big enough out there, but it wasn't as intimidating as some of the tracks that I've seen.
Well, it certainly did cause still plenty of movement on the leaderboard. Let's go to EquiRating's corner and just find out how the numbers stack up.
Well, 57% was the final number in terms of a clear show jumping rate. Only one event in the history of Event Rider Masters over 4 seasons now has had a higher clear show jumping rate. That's Barbary 2017. Look, the next half an hour is going to have drama as we wait for Oliver Townend news. Will Sarah Ennis lead going into the cross country? Big question for now. Sarah Ennis, this is the first international since the World Equestrian Games, so everything is absolutely still wide open from a tactical point of view there as well. You know, Lucy Jackson Superstition, they have proved it at Chatsworth and now they're sitting in third. I would expect a really big run from them. There is only 10 seconds separating everyone apart from Oliver Townend. He has over 10 seconds himself. But if he is not there, then we've 10 seconds between the top 10. An unbelievable hour and a half coming up in cross country. I think this is set up in terms of how Millstreet has run previously, in terms of how many people make the time. Not many is the clue. This is going to be a brilliant cross country as we move towards the end of the series here for Event Rider Masters.
Well, the numbers will be stacking up this afternoon. The cross-country time here at Millstreet has been achievable in the past, but as we've heard, the ground out there has had a lot of rain on it over the last couple of days, and the team here at Millstreet have done an absolutely brilliant job in making us able to run. So we will watch this space for the cross-country this afternoon, but we've been telling you all about the Equistro Grooms Award throughout the last couple of days. A brilliant opportunity to really reward the unsung heroes of the game. And let's go to Hannah for the presentation.
Well, Nicole, you're absolutely right. The grooms are imperative to the smooth running and the operation of all the riders and combinations that are here. And it's a delight to be able to reward the top 3 grooms that we've got here on behalf of Equestro. We've got Jim O'Toole, the CEO of Event Rider Masters, to present the top 3 prizes. And I'm delighted to say that Bill Levitt's groom in 3rd place, Ryan, is getting the Equestro Award. Congratulations, Ryan. And in 2nd place, Tim Price's groom, and that is Hayley Ann. Hayley Ann, congratulations, also receiving Equestro products. But the winner of the Equestro Grooms Award goes to Richard Coney's groom, Tori. Tori, congratulations. She gets more Equestro products and a cash prize as well. What an amazing way. Tori, I'm just going to grab a quick word with you. Your job is full on, isn't it?
Yeah, full on every day, but we love it. We love the sport, we love the horses, and that's why we do it. And it's so nice to get some credit and some appreciation for it, yeah.
What amazes me is how passionate you all are. You know, you really, really do love the animals, the job, the riders and the people that you work for. And it is 24 hours a day.
Yeah, every day of the week, every hour, but you come out with a smile on your face and you just get on with the job. And there's great times and there's not so great times, but we do it and it's really fun. I love it and I wouldn't do anything else.
Amazing. Well, we're very grateful to Equestro for recognising all the work that Hayley Ann, that Tori and Ryan do, and of course it's great to award them in this way. Guys, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, a brilliant job. And that is Mike Etherington-Smith's cross-country course that is in store for our riders a little bit later on this afternoon, or in fact later this morning. We have a really quick turnaround here. 11:15 we will be going live with all of the cross-country action. We hope you'll stay with us. Alex, just a word on it. You've been out there, you've walked the course. 1, what did you think of the ground? And 2, how's the track looking?
I think the ground is going to have an enormous part to play. The track is dimensionally quite big. Some big tables out there, some wide tables. Not overly twisty and not overly technical. Maybe the brush coming out of the coffin, the most technical question on the course. Enough places to catch a few people out who are snoozing. But I think it's going to come down to ground time and the confidence of the horses over those big tables.
Can I ask if you'll give us a podium prediction? Who do you think is going to be on top of the leaderboard? Do you think Oliver Tanner will run, or do you think somebody else is going to be able to sneak on top?
I think it sounded like Ollie was letting us down slowly.
I think you might be right. I do wish to see him run across country, but I think it might be unlikely. We will wait and, of course, bring you that news if it comes through. But who do you think would be on top of the podium then?
So it'll be interesting to see whether Sarah Ennis runs hers quickly. It's its first run back since WEG.
I think Horseware Stella Rebound will decide.
I think they'll decide whether they're going or not. I think Lucy Jackson. I like Lucy Jackson, and Sam Watson is just behind there to catch anybody snoozing as well.
Well, the Irish will certainly be used to this kind of ground, and I think Lucy Jackson for New Zealand with Superstition are going to be ones that can make it onto the podium. Again, they were at Chatsworth, of course, a little bit earlier on this year. Alex, huge thank you, and we'll hopefully see you in the Event Rider Masters Series, if not end of this year, next year.
I hope so too.
Good luck, obviously, going into Tokyo for Team China as well.
Thank you.
But that is all we've got time for our show jumping broadcast. We will be bringing you all of the cross-country action very shortly. 11:15 we go live. So have a quick turnaround, grab yourself something to eat, get a cup of tea, sit back and relax and enjoy all of the cross-country action with us. 11:15, we'll see you then.